Hello everybody, it is Ebontis, and today with this guide, my goal is to show you, one, how to prep your character so you actually have the dual destiny mission available, and then a full complete walkthrough. It's going to be from the dark person's perspective, but I'll explain basically everything as we go through of what the differences are going to be, and that is how you can unlock the ability to either farm this exotic from the director and run the mission over and over, or you can actually farm it from Overthrow Chest, which as a solo player probably what you're going to do. Because this mission requires 2 players. Absolutely does. You have to play with 2 people. It is the way all the mechanics are set up. You can't solo this mission. You guys know I'm a solo person. I had to go recruit somebody. LFG, look on Twitter, wherever you gotta look, it is going to be worth it because you only have to do it as a duo one time. And then you can do overthrow to farm, but if you find other people to run with, every time you beat this, it is a guarantee. So if you're willing to farm this, you can probably get them consistently, but it is not a short mission. So 2 players are required. That being said, my advice is for the preparation, you may as well bring 2 players with you, because what you have to do is you're going to need to go to the landing, the blooming, and the impasse, and you're going to need to do overthrow all the way from level 1 through level 4 and beat the boss. And then for that zone, once the boss has been beaten, there's like that 5-minute cooldown of, you know, kind of peace in the zone, thanks to the Traveler's Light or whatever the comment says. At that point, you are going to need to go and find the secret keeper of the Witch Queen. What it is going to be is a Lucent Hive wizard hanging out in kind of one of the outer rim areas of that zone. Like, you don't need to be in the landing and wander into the refraction. If you see the zone change, you have gone too far. So make sure you don't wander too far, because they really weren't that far out. But for like the landing, it was tucked down here in this little corner. For the blooming, I can't remember exactly which section it was. It was where I was running the light and dark motes back and forth in some quest or campaign mission. And the impasse, I think it was down here in this bottom left corner, but I could be wrong as well. Might be up in tucked in a corner. But again, it's always a Lucent Hive wizard, and it's going to say Secret Keeper of the Witch Queen. If you go level 1 through 4, beat the Secret Keeper of the Witch Queen in each of the 3 zones. Step 1 is done. Then you need to head to exactly where I am. In this cave. And it's really hard to miss because you're going to load either into the blooming or load into the landing. And then if you look towards the refraction, it's going to have this giant beam of light in the air and it's green. So if you go in the landing, go through here in the refraction, look up in the sky, beam of light's in there, come around the corner, beam of light's in here, and eventually you're going to come in here. If you come in the back door, you can come from the blooming. It's probably quicker, and you can just go right back and you'll enter through the back entrance right back from there. So either way you get to this room, once you're in here, what's going to happen is I interacted with this and it starts the lore talking, but what I didn't realize is you're going to also get a buff that has a timer on it at that time, and the buff is called Savathun's Envoy. Now, once you've got that buff, what you need to do is you need to run outside into the actual refraction area, so you do actually have to go this way. And from this point, your goal is to kill enough enemies to spawn 2 of the subjugators, 1 strand and 1 stasis. So these basic enemies won't count. All of this is just basic junk. One of them is going to spawn pretty much right by this tree. So keep killing enemies that are in this zone here, like where I'm kind of killing now. Keep killing enemies over here. You're going to see, you know, some subjugators. You're going to see some hive or attendants or whatever it may be. Then the big subjugator is going to spawn. And at that point, it's going to look like this. It's Explicator Selin. Or Expector Selin. Sorry, I'm probably going to say some of this stuff wrong. Forgive me. Basically, you need to get a third of their health bar gone, and then they are going to drop an orb. Now, I don't know if they always drop light and then dark, but this is how it happened for me. So they're going to drop a light orb, and what one of you, and this is why I recommend 2 people for this part as well, one of you is going to need to run it back into the chamber. Now, the other one can start working on the other enemies, which are going to be farther up here, and I'll show you how I run them back, because both of you can use this as a quicker path to get back there. We'll kind of show you what I mean. But the other one is going to be Expector Unique or something like that. I'll have a picture of them on screen. But as you're running over here, before you head all the way back, but it was pretty far over here. So when you get to this point, the Expector Yelene was actually spawning for me right in this region here. It was on the upper deck, so I came all the way to this point, and then we were killing enemies. Now, killing enemies here, and he actually spawned right about there. And at that point, again, do enough damage to get a third of the health bar down. That's why it's like, if you are one person to prep this by yourself, you can do that. That way, maybe if you're doing like LFG or something, you've got this part done and you're like, hey, mission's ready, just need to actually do it. But you can't start the mission. And I don't know if you don't start the mission, if you're actually going to be able to open it from the directory like this, because I checked my video back and I was getting my location, showed my little arrow on the map, but the mission was not there because I hadn't started it yet. So my true advice is really make sure you bring 2 people in here. But either way, for the second orb, same thing. We took him down here, he dropped the darkness orb, and then you got to bring it back to her statue. So you got to make this run through, and this is why if like one person taking out the ads and stuff while you're running one of the orbs back, probably going to make sure it's doable so you're not wasting your time. But if you want to practice it with one person by yourself, you probably can. Then see if you're fast enough. But if you get to this point with this little break, you know, there's a lot of enemies, that's why running together is probably also going to be helpful. If you get to here, you can actually make a jump up here. I landed this one pretty easily, and then you can come down here. And this seemed to be a bit of a shortcut, so you don't have to go around the long way. So if you're, you know, tight on time and you're running these orbs back, might actually help you save a little bit of time. But either way, when you get the orb back, the darkness one is going to be on this side. And I'll show you a picture of kind of what that looks like, which will come up here. There's literally a darkness platform to stand on right here on the ground. Let me kill this guy first, or he's just going to wander. There we go. Darkness platform is going to be here, and literally just if you're holding the darkness orb and you stand on it, it does its automatic dunk. When you bring the light one back, it's going to be over here, and you auto dunk it as long as you stand on it. If you do that within the time, then your mission flag is going to show up. Dual Destiny. And at that point, if you have 2 people with you, you can start it. So that's how you actually prepare this mission to be available. But again, I recommend 2 people for just the timing you need to run both orbs back. Now, I myself picked up both orbs and dunked them, so I know one person can do the dunking. But for time-wise, the second person is just going to help you be more efficient. So before we jump into the mission, I'm going to talk a little bit about loadouts. If you don't care about that, then now I'm going to go through full gameplay of the mission. I'm doing this from the dark-aligned perspective. Basically, one of the things it will do is you need one dark aligned person or one light aligned person. We were both prismatic the first time I did this, and it just randomly picked. Now, I also made the other person leader, and it still made me light aligned, so I don't know if it's the higher level player, whatever it may be. But it doesn't really matter. You're both going to have both roles pretty much the entire way through. So I'm just going to show you from the dark aligned perspective. If you have a choice about what subclass you want to be, just know the other, say you want to be solar subclass, then that means the other person has to be either prismatic or strand or stasis. You do have to split in one way or another. So if you don't pick prismatic, then, and you pick a very specific one, they have to be the opposite side of the spectrum or prismatic to cover the other side. Once you've got your kind of subclasses decided, let's talk about loadouts and give you a little advice. When it comes to loadouts, your light level is going to matter. The activity is 1995. Now, currently I'm 1992, but even when I ran it the first time, I was about 1985. If you play with someone below your power level, you will bring them up to 5 below yours. So I was 1985, and I brought the person I was playing with up to 1980. At this point, if I was 1992, I'd bring them up to 1987. So light level is going to matter in here just because there are so many enemies, both incoming and outgoing damage is going to be more efficient. So I do recommend getting your light level bumped up a bit, especially before you go looking at LFG. Probably going to make my life a little easier. Now, I'm not a hunter expert because I've been running this character thanks to you guys actually kicking butt with the charity incentive, so thank you for that. But said I'd play Hunter, and I am. I'm not an expert at the subclass, so I've been crutching on Wormhusk Crown for survivability and Red Death both. But there are a ton of ads in here, so Red Death is not a bad option. I had a sniper for multiple reasons. You've got Tormentors, you've got long range, kind of bigger arenas, so range is going to be a good thing to take advantage of in here, so a sniper is not a bad thing. And there are a lot of enemies. There's also multiple rally flags. The only thing that locks when you start the mission is your subclass. So as long as your subclass for your character is good, you can move weapons around, you can move exotics around. So if you run through a practice run, you don't love what you're doing, or you think, hey, at this point, I think I've done enough, and maybe for the final boss room, I would switch heavies around, things like that. You can do that, so just know, bring more than one loadout with you, and it's going to be an option. Bring resistances in there. There's going to be like some melee resistance that I actually would recommend because there's a decent amount of husks and close range enemies in there. I just kind of spread it over Arc, Solar, and Void. I didn't even put stasis on here, and I definitely should have. Strand as well, because those are going to be in there. But you've got a little bit of everything, so it's kind of hard to cover everything. And other than that, for loadout, just, you know, find a survival loadout. I tend to put recuperation on for a survival thing, because I'm making orbs pretty frequently with my loadout all the time. So getting a little health back on top of Red Death and Wormhusk Crown. I'm not the highest DPS, so I would recommend whoever you're running with, if one person's running something like a tether, for example, maybe you've got one of those, then one other person probably should do a DPS. On our run-through, we both accidentally did tether, which kind of worked for the Tormentors, but either way, I would still recommend that you try and coordinate a little bit with your teammate for some DPS and find a way for you to feel comfortable surviving. There are a ton of ads, so a machine gun is not a bad idea, I'll be honest. Something like a rocket launcher blowing yourself up, not a good thing, because there are certain times you need to stay alive long enough with like motes to share information with each other. Machine guns are going to typically be a way to survive better. Something like a sword might not be a horrible idea, because you can do things like Argent Blade and getting your sword back and refunding some ammo. So there are different builds, but hopefully the gameplay will inform you of what to do. So at this point, I'm going to jump into the gameplay. As I said, it's from the dark aligned perspective, but there are a few moments I might put a little either footage or screenshots on screen from the light perspective, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So outside of that, I think we're ready to jump into the mission. So here we go.
A long time ago, there were 3 sisters. A voice in the darkness put a lie in their hearts, and they've acted on it since. Just as you've been lied to. Light and dark, witness and traveler.
Alright, so when the mission starts, you're going to be kind of working your way up to exit from the top of this little cave. So just a quick little jumping puzzle spiral here for you. As you work your way up, you're just going to come out of the top where you've taken any of the assist missions that you've done in the Alone in the Dark. You pop out up here. And then all you're trying to do is get through this section with killing enough enemies to allow you to survive, but there's no specific functionality to actually, like, taking them out or making sure they're dead. All you gotta do is just get through this section. You're trying to get to your first light and dark plate, and just however quickly you can get over and through these enemies, that's the fastest way you should be doing it. So as you work your way across, we're kind of gonna go pretty quick. I'm gonna talk through the whole playthrough just so you guys can see a perspective, and then I'm also gonna try and show some moments where the light perspective might see something different, but I'll just kind of explain the whole situation, because most of the time you're just flipping who's doing what mechanic most of the time through. So as you go through here, watch for the snipers. They could just be up high. When you see that big ravine here in the middle that we're going to be hopping over, there's going to be some Grim that are going to be popping out from above. So I just, you know, if you got anything area of effect, like my gunpowder gamble was nice to clear a few. So whoever you're running with, just know that those are going to be up there, the Grim. If you want a machine gun, take them out. Don't really need to focus on them. You just need to get past this ogre, which my sniper can't seem to do. There we go. And then the Grim are all flying up above up there. So as you're progressing forward, just know that they are going to be trying to take you out from up above. But if you get inside up to these enemies, then you're going to be okay. Alright, so these enemies here are guarding the light platform, which is right up there to your right, where he's going to be. And then the dark platform is going to be down around this hallway. The light platform truly is just around the corner where we were up there on that ledge. So he can already sit there and wait. I've got to fight my way through these enemies. Trying to do what I can. So the dark platform after these two is going to be tucked over here to the left in the little doorway. Stand on that when you're both standing on it. Make sure he had gone off to help clear some ads. Once you've both stood on it, then you're good to see the wall come down, and you're going to meet here in the middle up at that cave up top. And that cave up top is going to hold a knight, so if you can bust through him, knock him out, whatever you got to do, just take him down. The faster he goes down, the faster you can get by. And then you're going to turn to your right once you get out of that cave. I'm going to make sure my buddy's with me. Turn to the right, and you'll see we've got a rally flag down below. So it's a good time to grab any extra ammo if you're going to do that. That's what I was switching over ammo for. Now, once you've got the ammo, you're going to proceed to the first encounter. Light is going to be down below. Darkness is going to be up top. Now, the difference between the two players at this point, if you're darkness, you're the only one who can damage the knights. The knights are going to be dropping motes. If you're light, you're the only one who can damage the centurions. And then later on, there's specific wizards that have the same shields, respectively. So you got to make sure you kind of kill the respective enemy with you. So you can see the knight coming up over the top. I'm the only one who can damage him. So even if he's done doing what he needs to do down there, I still need to make sure I kill my knights. And then there's going to be a mote on the ground you pick up. You're going to see motes of darkness for me, motes of light for the other player. When you have the boxes filled, the difference between the light and the dark are going to be the following. And again, it changes back and forth. So if your encounter allows you to see symbols that are around the room that you have a little, that's the little floating kind of pyramid next to it that you could shoot as like a trigger, that means you're going to be the one shooting the symbols. If you're the person who sees the symbols floating over on top of little, like kind of pyramid looking, just they're little boxes and they all line up next to each other. If you're the one who sees the symbols just lined up on the little boxes next to each other, you need to call out which symbols need to be shot. You need to call them out from left to right, or later on, you're going to need to call them out from top to bottom. So here, they have two symbols down on their little boxes down below. I'll try and put a picture on screen here so you guys can see it. And they're calling out what I need to shoot. And these callouts are going to be the callouts from Vow of the Disciple. So you're going to need to have a refresher with the person you're playing with. You're going to need to make sure that you guys have some similar idea on the callouts. So the first one was Witness, and then Triangle was the second one. I think we had the wrong symbol there. If that happens, your motes are cleared out and you need to reset it. So this is why it's like being really clear on the communication. Take the time to get it right. It's really, really important. So at this point, I've got to kill my knights again, and I've got to go through the sequence of knights and enemies, and then he's got to do the same down below with the Centurion. So if you're on the if you're the light player, you're always shooting the Centurion. Dark player shooting the knights. So I've got to go get my mote that was over there. I think I left it sitting up there, so I need to go grab that. Trying to take out these weavers. Those guys that are a little bit harder. So yeah, my mote sitting up there. It can fade away, so don't just leave it up there, because it will actually drop off. So it will start to flicker and fade. So that's when... There you go. All right, so I've got both, so I can see all the symbols again. You see them floating around the room, all the little icons, and the little darkness symbols underneath them like that are what you need to shoot. So it was the first one, and then now it's like the hive symbol. Now in the bottom left-hand corner, you see paracausal energy tears through you. You're going to move to the next room. You're also going to get a longer timer when you do. Now, same principle is going to happen here, but you're going to flip rolls, basically. So this time, I've got to clear the ads. Still going to be clearing my knights. But this time, I'm going to need to go up to that platform up above, and I'm going to need to read the symbols for him. As he's gathering motes, he's going to see more and more symbols that are available to be shot from his perspective. This time, you've got 3 motes to collect. So the biggest thing is, if you die, you lose the motes that you were holding. So you need to make sure that you prioritize staying alive, especially for this opening section, because staying alive is pretty much one of the more important things to make sure your time is as much as possible. Because if you die, then you just extend the amount of time it takes you to be able to even see what you need to see, to share the information you need, or to be able to see the right stuff. So that's why it's like I'm harping a lot on staying alive, exotics, class abilities, anything that's going to help keep you going on this is probably more important than just about anything else. That's why machine guns for me are working to clear a lot of the ads. It's not like I'm using a rocket launcher in here that I could blow myself up. That's not really worth the risk. So I've got 1 mote right now, and I've got 1 more mote up here to pick up. So that's 2. I need 1 more because I can only see 2 of the 3 symbols right now. I can't even see all of the ones that are there. Same thing he's doing up there. He's going to see symbols that are kind of on that upper ceiling area, and then he's working on collecting enough motes to be able to see all of the symbols. And then once you're done with your motes, don't let that thing fall off the edge. Once you're done collecting your set, like your boxes of motes are full, you can come to their level and help clear ads. So mine are Drink, Traveler, and Triangle. So he's going to be looking on around the room, looking for those 3. Paracausal energy gathers. Paracausal energy clings, paracausal energy tears through you. That is the sequence of correct text if you're shooting the correct symbols. So now you go to the final room of this part of the mission, and you're going to have 4 that you got to collect. So in this one, the big taken ball right here is going to be the darkness side, where you're killing the knights. The light side is going to be over there, and that little taken portal up above is where the Centurion's going to pop out of every time. So you're kind of on the same plane, But then when you go to shoot the symbols, we're going to go directly above where we are right now. There's this little floating gazebo in the air. It's actually a really good place to shoot them from. That's why I'm kind of using this footage more, because this was our smoother run. So once the knight goes down, and again, the faster you kill the knight, faster the next one's going to be coming in. So it is all about speed. Now I perched here up top for a little while, just waiting on my next knight. There are no snipers up here at the moment, but there will be later on. So that's kind of why when I'm up here now, I know I'm probably going to be okay. Later on, it gets to be a bit crazier. But again, also be aware, if you jump up here on this perch and they're going to get overrun by odds over there, make sure you're holding up your end of the bargain. This is a team mission. So now I know I've got the knight coming back over there. I just saw him. I'm going to throw my gunpowder in his face. I'm going to put a couple shots into him. And then we're going to get our second moat. But we need a total of 4, so this one takes a little while. This is also where if you get up to like 3 moats and then you die, it is much more difficult to actually, you know, have the time to reacquire. And if you want more time in the boss room, then it's even more important to prioritize staying alive here with every functionality and then switch. Your subclass will lock, but other stuff will not lock. Like you can change out your weapons, I think, and maybe even your armor and stuff. If you need to change when it comes to the final boss room right before the rally flag, you could. So I'm 3 out of 4 right now. Again, the weavers and the attendants are probably the most annoying guys in this. The little guys are not too bad. Red Death every kill giving me cure ×2 is a nice way to stay alive though. My ads are down, so I'm trying to help him with his at this moment. All of this kind of going on during this pretty much live run through is what we're doing right now. So that is going to be my 4th. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get up to a perch because I'm going to have no more knights to kill. Now, I got to be weary because snipers can start to spawn up here, as you'll see. So being as I've got all 4, and you can see also the symbols are all up around the ceiling of the room. So we're on the same page right now, so I can see pretty much everything from up here, so I can do a circle up here. So I had worship. What was the next call out? So I've got drink. Then we had hive. And then the last one was guardian, which was behind me, but you can see them all from up here. So it is a perfect spot right up there. So make sure if you're the one shooting in this last room of 4 moats that you come up here when the callouts are happening, because all you got to do is spin, less enemies to worry about. So that's the opening section, kind of explaining the shooting the puzzles and getting the buff and communicating to each other. Now we're going to go through the traversal section. Now I'm going dark side. He's going to go light side. It is very similar. You're basically just going to be standing on plates to... both of you need on a plate, so a light and dark plate, to progress to the next section of the puzzle. I think I get to a point where I start to jump ahead, so I've done this a few times, so I started to move a little bit quicker. Big thing is, once you kind of make a couple of these jumps around this corner, the Grim are going to be waiting for you, and you're going to be stuck in a very crouched area. So machine gun worked here, Red Death, but if you kind of wait for your buddy to come over here with you, you want to kind of inch forward together so you can shoot these enemies at the same time. I brought a machine gun just in case I had to solo this part, but I got some help as he came along behind me. But yeah, try and be ready because you're going to have 6 of these major Grims sitting here, and you want to make sure you can take them out with something pretty quickly. Now we're going to be jumping across. Just be careful of the ceiling so you don't knock your head too bad on any of this part because it's a little bit low. As we go forward, the biggest thing you're going to notice is things will start shifting a little bit. I skipped those 2 enemies, which was nice because that was just quicker. So you can skip those. You don't even have to shoot them. Can't even see them from down here, so you don't have to worry about them. Well, I told him just like, it's like when you come out, just make the jump for the stairs and you're good. Now this next section, you're going to want to shoot the snipers. 1 down below, 1 on the left side stair that you're going to be jumping up to, and then there's 1 in waiting. So I typically will jump up to this first little step here because you barely can almost head glitch the enemy. That way they can't really get a good shot on you. And then around the corner, you've got 1 more sniper up above. So up here, take that one out. And then you've got a crouching section like Whisper of the Worm. So there's going to be parts of the wall that try and push you off. So in here, just smash your face against the wall. And then you want to try and move past each section, but not go too far. So pretty much you can be running into the wall as it pulls back, and then you'll just be able to go forward. So here you just kind of have to, you know, basically follow a style right there. A couple of these guys, and then as you progress up these jumps, you're going to have the husk, like interior little floating worms that come out when you shoot them. They're going to be coming at you, and then right in that doorway is going to be a Phalanx who wants to push you off the edge. He's almost done to me like every time I've run the mission. Just remember he is right there. When you see the little husk, like mini worms inside, just know that these guys are going to come. That one's waiting for you up at the top. So now you're going to jump on your respective platforms, and you're always looking for any part of the world that moves. So up there you can see to the left mine moved, so it made space for me to land. Same thing here. Go off to my left, so he's on his platform. Now you're looking for something that moves. So again, up on my left right here, this popped out. And then I know I can jump up here, and then I can jump up here. Now, there are going to be enemies up above on the final upper deck area that are going to be shooting you. So once you get to about here, you get to a point where you're going to cross over. I'm going to go to his side, he's going to go to my side. Notice a lot of snipers and shots coming down from the top. So if you want to just kind of pick a point, get together and kind of work on taking out the enemies or just work them from cover, stay safe here because that's where you're going to be dealing with a lot of the enemies. So for me on the darkness side, I passed through the back, but I also was trying to get up here and take out some of these enemies, trying to snipe some of the snipers for themselves. Wormhusk Crown coming in for the save there. You've got 2 ogres, you've got like 4 snipers, goblins that are shielding up here. A lot of stuff to take out. So for me, for the darkness spot, I kind of jumped up, but you're looking to get around the back side of the pyramid. If you're on the light side, you can actually pass through the middle section, like the little kind of almost door opens up in the middle, and that's going to allow you to get up to your platform. So once you're up here, you should be able to get a decent view of everything. Once you're on your platforms, I'm going to jump up here on the right and crouch walk the whole time. On the left, there's just 3 jumps on the wall that you've got to go through. Not a big deal over there. This one's just, you know, got to take it slow. This is why you don't want enemies peppering you right here. You want them dead before you make that slow walk. Otherwise, you're in trouble. Now, as I've run through this and got faster, the faster you are at this mission, the more time you're going to start accumulating. And when we got to the end, we had like 20 minutes, which was plenty. But it's when you go through and learn it for the first time, time's going to be tight. This jump, just kind of a blind leap down here to these little lights in this doorway. And then you've got a rally flag here before the encounters begin. Now, before we actually get to this encounter, what I'm going to do is basically explain what you're going to be looking at. So when you, and this is going to change when you get to the final room, it gets a little bit easier. But this one is going to look about like this. There's only going to be 9 little nodes that you can shoot. So it's not a full clock. When you get to the final room, a full clock is going to be available. So in this one, I set it up like this. You can have whatever callouts you want, but it worked to have the middle be the bottom, and then you have L1, L2, L3, L4 down the left, R1, R2, R3, R4 down the right. When you get to this encounter in each wave, you've got to do 3 waves of this. What you will be seeing and what your partner will be seeing is different. What you need to call out, for me that made it easier, is I had my partner call out what was not connected. So in this picture, for example, they would call out L2, L4, and R2. So I know what is not connected on their end. And then from my perspective, what I need to do is shoot something that is connected that is not one of the ones they called out. So they called out L2, L4, and R2. So on my side, if I was looking at something that had things that were connected, like if L1 was connected, I would shoot that one. If R3 was connected, I would shoot that one. If the middle was connected on mine, I would shoot that one, because I would have some that were disconnected as well. If you shoot the correct 3, then you will move on to basically the second set of nodes that you're going to see, and you got to do 3 different sets. Now, when you go through this encounter, the only way you're able to actually shoot those little nodes is whoever gets the final blow on the Tormentor that spawns. And once that happens, you're going to have 30 seconds, kind of 30 seconds of a buff from the Tormentor to be able to actually shoot those nodes. So whether you're on the left side or the right side, use your cover. You're going to have a lot of husks coming in. You're going to have a lot of acolytes coming in. So again, you're going to have a ton of adds. Machine gun for me was useful, but use whatever works for you. That was a horrible gunpowder gamble. Lots and lots of husks, though. Be aware that you're going to have a lot of those, so having a way to take those things out can be quite helpful. And having a way to heal yourself is actually really good, too. Now, when you get to the Tormentor, it's just a little bit of coordination. Like, my super is up first, so I think I popped my super. I went ham with my machine gun, took out the Tormentor. I was also Prismatic right now, so I really tried to put everything I could into the Tormentor, take out the chunks of health I could. Make sure, again, if you're going big damage, take out the shoulders first. and then do what you can to put the damage into them. So again, I was like reloading with the dodge, trying to take out a few of these ads, keep my health up with Red Death, and then the tether is still holding on. So it's like I can probably punish him in the chest with my sniper rifle. Gets pretty close. Again, this is why I love the sniper rifle. Alright, so now I've got the buff on my screen that is the Harmonic Sundering. So I had him call out while we're prepping this stuff which ones he doesn't have. I'm looking through seeing which ones I have that do not line up with what he has. So basically, they're going to call it 3 ones that they don't have. And then you're going to look at what you do have. If you have one that is like connected and they didn't call that out, that's one of the ones that you're going to shoot. It's pretty much that is the best way I can describe it. If you know what doesn't connect for them, then all you need to know is that if you have one that does connect and it's not one they listed, you can green light shoot that one when you have the buff. So when you do it correctly, you're going to have one of those pyramid things in the back wall, they will break. And you'll do it 3 times. So right now, I don't have my super, so he's going to throw his out there. And if you want to both shoot the symbols on the wall, that's fine. But if you just want to have one person nominated to get the final blow, try and coordinate that one, like put the super into them first and then finish up like with whatever you're using. Just make sure if you're the one who's going to get the final blow every time, make sure you've got a weapon you can comfortably get the final blow. Like I had a machine gun, sniper rifle. I know I could get away and dodge. I knew I could manage it myself, so it is know you, know your teammate, kind of figure out what happens. Or if you just need to, you know, dump on the Tormentor, then just both be aware of who's doing what. But it does make life a little bit easier if one of you is having to do this as opposed to both of you, because it just gets a little chaotic here. So he eventually wants to jump at me and probably kill me, but we're still alive. So he's almost dead. Nice sniper shot to the stomach. Okay, so same thing. He's called out. So he said L1, L2, or L1, R1, and R2. So then I went through, eliminated those, and his was everything on the top. So anything that I had connected that was pretty much below that were the ones I shot. Third round, same principle. You got all the husks coming in. Gunpowder Gamble was really nice to clear those out. There's still plenty of them that spawn in, but it was nice to clean them out. And then if you're pretty quick at this, the Tormentor comes back into the room also pretty quickly. So it's not like you have to wait a long time if you're quick at this. The Tormentors will be pretty speedy to come at you once you start killing. I don't know if it's all the husks or what, but just keep killing everything you can and keep stuff going. I've got my super up again, so I'm going to try and draw him over, put my super on him, and then we're just going to try and cook him out. I think we double tethered him that time, which was pretty funny. So he's pretty much locked out for a good minute. Make sure the shoulders are broken, finish him off with the crits on the chest. And that's the nice thing is while I'm working on the Tormentor, which I was trying to focus on more often than not, it was allowing him to make sure he could get a relook at his symbols to make sure he was ready. He's gonna smash me in the head. Almost grabbed me here, I think. Barely survived. Again, Red Death, 1 kill, giving me a good amount of cure. Yeah, I was like, he grabbed me here, but I barely just had enough health to survive. But he called it out, and the thing is, as long as your callouts are ready when the Tormentor goes down, you can take a little extra time. You just have to know a Tormentor's out there. So there's your crit. So L2, L4, R4 were his callouts. So then I'm looking for something that I have connected that, again, he didn't have. Now this is one of them, like, which one? L2, L4, R4. So I hit L3, R4, so, yep, R2. So, always shooting what is connected that they didn't call out, and you should be good. That's the first room. So 3 Tormentors, 3 sets of connections, and then we're going to get to this traversal section. This mission really is massive for 1, 2, really cool to look at. He's got Kvastov, which actually sounded really cool. And as you work through the mission, just, again, a little bit of jumping involved, so just make sure you're comfortable with whatever platforming you're doing here. There's no, like, extreme jumping in here, so you don't need, like, a jumping exotic. Just take your time, make your jumps, you know. Notice at this point we're up to, like, 17 minutes. One time I got into the boss room and I had noticeably less. So the timer will stack the faster you are, so it is going to be... It's going to be okay if you go through the first one, it's not that smooth, but you figure out the mechanics with your teammate, because the second time you work through it, you're probably going to knock it out and you'll have even more time to do so. So here we're just killing ads, make sure the whole platform is clear of ads, so the faster you are, the better. Kvastov with that little, like, chasing shot that goes around seems to be helping too, which is nice. It's kinetic, helps both prismatic sides. You're going to hop on your platforms and you're going to get launched to the next platform. Now you are going to get split up at a point. So here's where you're split. So again, you want to make sure you can kind of manage your own. Nothing too crazy in here. Again, you've just got Grim. You're probably going to have an Ogre at some point, but quite a few Grims, so try and find yourself a little bit of cover as we work through all of this. And then there's our Ogre. So again, this is why I like my sniper rifle, to put a few shots in his face and we're kind of done. And then both sides need to be ready. Stand on your plates, and then you're going to get launched forward. You barely step forward, it'll pull you. Now up here, you're going to have more adds, but then you're going to have a double Tormentor combo duo. So 2 of you, 1 Tormentor each, or pair up together. This is why, like, if you have 1 DPS super, 1 crowd control super, that would probably be better than what we did, because we had 2 tethers. Now, it wasn't all bad to have the tethers, but you could definitely do better DPS than what we did. So once the Ogre goes down, 2 Tormentors are going to show up. They just take a little bit to get here, so all the adds need to be cleared out before the Tormentors show. Looks like we got 1 straggler over there. He teleports in, both Tormentors come in with some more adds. So the Tormentors, again, that's why the tether was nice. It helped, but if you got any type of AoE super there, Nova Bomb would do plenty well, because I think that thing's a monster now. So we nuked the first one pretty hard, and I think we coordinated our supers a bit more there. So his super was first. I let him come down. I got my super on him, so we were able to focus him and keep him a little bit at bay. And then same principle, just kind of nuke him down, working for time. And the more comfortable you get the mission and the mechanics, you're going to have a lot more time than you think you might have needed. When both Tormentors die, we got to go stand on our plates, and we kind of forgot about that. We're waiting for the rings to shoot us. We're like, plates, turn around. So we got to go stand on our plates. So from this point, turn back once the little rings show up. And then once the rings show up, it'll pull you all the way through. More hands floating in the Pale Heart, just a little bit of creepy horrorness going on. Now this will actually be the final room, but it's a big room, kind of long fight. And as you work through here, you're going to, first off, make sure you get your rally flag, max out your ammo, switch chest pieces if you need to, switch exotics if you got to change up your playstyle now. There's still going to be a lot of adds, but if you have a different thought for a playstyle for the boss room after some practice, now's a good time to swap things over. Once you're good, you can hop on out. And the first thing you're going to be dealing with is the Stasis Subjugator. So you're just going to need to stand here. Stasis Subjugator is going to pop out. I think you might have to kill a few adds first or something small like that. But Stasis Subjugator is first. And the first thing you can do is just do damage to the Subjugator, bring it to its first phase. There it is. So there's the big one. And you're just trying to bring it to its first kind of chunk of its health, which will allow you to go through the first mechanic, which you'll see this is going to be the symbols above the head once we get there. So again, machine gun's not going to be the most amazing DPS. Sniper was helping me a little bit for backup. Having the dodge to be able to actually stay alive was probably the most important thing, because I survived and he didn't, because there's so many enemies in there. But yeah, it's like you're probably going to die a lot in here. But as we have 23 minutes for this room, it's a lot of time. So if you get smoother, this room gets to be a lot more, less of a time crunch, I should say. And that's the nice thing about once you get comfortable with the mechanics, not dying. And again, we didn't even go as fast as possible because we had some deaths in the symbols rooms and we had to redo a couple of those. If you were, if you were flawless, you probably could almost have like 30 minutes in here. You really could have plenty of time. Now, once the shield comes up, he's going to pop in the middle. He's still going to be attacking, so you got to be aware that there's still stuff that is going to hurt you from him. And there's going to be some adds around. So what we need to do now is we're looking for our wizards. Our respective wizards are going to be floating out and around, and you need to find the wizard that you can damage. So if you find the right one that takes damage from you, then you know at least you're hitting the right one. Or if you find one that you can't damage, call that out to your buddies. So you're like, hey, it's over here. I was having a little bit of trouble finding mine. I think he found his. My wizard eventually was like hiding somewhere in the middle, if I remember correctly. Had to kill all the guys, that's what it was actually. I knew we were looking for the wizard. So all the guys went down. When all the guys went down, there's the last husk. That is when the wizards would actually spawn, I believe. Yeah, one more over. I saw him down there in the corner now as I'm watching the playback. So yeah, there we go. So all of them, so once all of the adds go down for that, then you're gonna get your wizards out. So as you can see, the darkness wizard is on this side of the arena. Light one's gonna be over there. You're going to have different perspectives. So the darkness player is going to see the symbols out in the world. And the light player is going to see the symbols above the subjugator's head. The person reading the symbols is going to read them top to bottom. Now there's a lot of husks in there, so if you got to kill those. I accidentally shot a symbol right there. So that's a prime example of be careful the direction you're shooting when you're trying to clear these ads out. And honestly, just try and protect yourself, because now we got to go find another wizard and kill the wizard so we can get the buff back. The husk was just coming at me there, got a little bit crazy, and I accidentally shot the wrong symbol. So you don't have to restart the whole thing or something. You just have to get to a point where you got to go kill the ads and then get another wizard to spawn so you can get your buff back. You're looking... But yeah, if you want the wizard to spawn, all the ads have to be down. I think we got most of them. I had one down to my right. I had a couple stragglers. That stasis shatter, by the way, is rough when it goes off next to you. If you hadn't experienced that in the campaign, it hurts, so be aware of that. Alright, so I got this one over here. Alright, so now the wizard's going to spawn right next to me on this platform, so you can just pretty straight nuke it. And then we're going to go through the same principle. We got more husks out there, but I've got the symbols. I'm going to play safe to make sure we clear our ads first. And then we're going to go for the symbol read. I can see the symbols out there, but he's got to clear his wizard. Got to make sure we're kind of safe. And then for a place to look from, you're just going to be right here below the boss. It's not too great, so you got to stay mobile and moving. So first one I think his call out was love, which is going to be that one. Drink. So again, if you're kind of able to jump and spin, and then tower. So love, drink, and tower. Shield is going to come down on this subjugator. What you're going to do now is you're going to look for the ability to do just another set of chunk of damage of his health bar to get him down to that final third. So now again, it's just full DPS mode, doing what you can. Yeah, sometimes it works out that I can just fire all my sniper ammo at once. I'm going to go try and put in some Transcendence work on him between grenades, melees, and everything else I can fire at him. Hopefully I can put in a little bit of work here. And I really am just trying to unload every piece of Prismatic. So if I fire my melee at him, I've got the melee going out and bouncing around and hopefully killing some little guys. I've got my grenades, which I don't love these grenades, but if I can get them attached, they seem to be at least doing some damage to them. And since my super wasn't up, I figured it was a good way to get me some damage. Warm Husk Crown, at least if I dodge, that comes up pretty frequently, so I should be able to get alive. He's just a floating pincushion. That should be the phase, and now he's going to go inside his little shield bubble, and we're going to be dealing with our Strand Subjugator. Now, at this point, you can just go into damage on the Strand Subjugator because it's not shielded yet. So you got to kill a few of these enemies first, take care of these, and then we're going to be... I like to get high ground on this section because he's going to be up high, and we're just working some DPS on him right now. He's a bit more jumpy, a little bit more aggressive on the movement, so high ground helps. But just know if you do go for the high ground, there's bound to be some failings that spawn occasionally up high. And I don't know if they spawn just because you're up there or if they eventually just jump down. But every time I was really high up on a platform and not missing all of my shots, these little guys would spawn up here. They want to make sure you're not hanging out here too much, keeping it easy. But the verticality up here did really help me get some damage on him. Staying away from the chaos made it a little bit easier. And again, same principle, just trying to get his health down through that first third. And we're going to do the same thing, looking for the wizards. We're going to be going for the symbols. Yep, so he's shielded up again. Take out all the ads that are around. When all the ads are down, that's when you're going to get your wizards to show up so you can get your symbols. I just went Prismatic here so I could just try and survive some of the chaos that's going on. We still have 17 minutes though. And that's why I was like, if you get the early parts to be smooth, this part, you will have plenty of time. Take a minute, look around for ammo because you're going to need some of that. So if the enemies are down, we're going to be looking for our wizards. And I don't know if they were on the same side or if they crossed. I got to remember which direction they went. So that's the light one. So they were on the same side of the arena. We had our wires crossed here, so that's mine over there. So we got to flip and take out your wizard. And then this time we're going to pretty much nuke this one pretty quickly for the wizards. And then I think the callout's not too bad, but I've just got to find a good perspective to shoot them from. So this time I can see the symbols, so you can see top down. I've got Commune, Traveler, and Light. So I call those out. He's looking for a perspective. This one seems a little more manageable just because I think we got a little more cover to hide from. Again, if you're up here or they just keep spawning, but yeah, just know if you're taking the upper deck for cover, then just know you are also likely to find some failings. There's going to be some snipers up in the corners as you start shooting some of the symbols, so just be aware that they're out there. That gamble against the husks is really, really nice to clear him out. Alright, so he shot the symbols, so we're breaking his shield again, so now we're just back to DPS mode. I'm looking for some ammo. Also watching for the snipers, which I swear they're teleporting, which is fun. Now you notice off to the side we've got the little clocks and the connecting wires again. The difference is you have all 12 sides of a clock. So this time you have more time to look at the symbols. You basically just have a Grim show up every, I don't know, 15 seconds or so, something like that. And when you're looking at the symbols on the clock, this time you can just use normal callouts that have a clock. 12 o'clock at the top, 6 o'clock at the bottom. And what's going to happen is we walk through it, and I'll kind of go through it with you. I mean, we're sitting in Discord in a chat, typing it out to each other. There's going to be 3 sets of symbols that rotate. So you're going to need to get like a notepad, piece of paper, Discord, text chat, whatever you want to put it into. You're going to need to be able to kind of keep a little bit of a note so you can do it quickly. You could technically use text chat if you were fast enough to type it in. I was typing it into Discord. Write it down on a post-it note next to you, whatever you want. Trying to get some DPS in right now, but I'm also trying to get you guys ready for the mechanics, so this makes a little more sense as you watch it. So once he's shielded, you need to find the wizards again, and this is going to allow you to see the specific sides that are yours. And also, once you kill the wizard and the ads, you're going to be able to do what you need to do. You notice I have Harmonic Sundering, but there is no timer. So what's going to happen is you're going to see 3 sets of symbols that rotate. So that first one would be 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 8 o'clock. And then, so that's the first set. It'll fade away. Second set is going to come in. So this would be 9, 10, 11, and 1. And then the third set will come right after this. What you're looking to do is on each set, you're both going to share one number. So if on this one it's like 1, 2, 4, and 7, I think we shared 7. So we talked through it. We may have even messed it up at some point. But that's the principle, and I think we had to redo it. So there's your Grim coming in. They show up every so often, so you want to make sure you're a little in screen. They're not too lethal. They're little red bar Grims. They're not going to be too destructive to you. But that's what you're trying to do, is coordinate on each rotation. So make sure, like, if you write them down in a different order, make sure you're like, all right, on this rotation, I'm seeing these 4 numbers. So 2, 4, or 12, 2, 4, and 7. If he calls out 7, that's the one we would shoot there, but I would just make a note that it's going to be that. 3, 5, 6, and 8. On that one, I can't remember if it was like 3 or 8. But you also need to shoot them together. So if like the symbols are up there and you don't shoot them at the same time, you're going to redo the whole thing. And I think that's what happened, is like, I got us on track here, and then I shot it too soon and they weren't quite ready which one it was. So 12, 2, 4, and 7. So it's like, okay, if this one's going to be 7, you would shoot 7 here. I know at some point we screwed up in this run and we still had plenty of time. So again, the Grim coming in, coming to mess with you a little bit. I'm literally alt-tabbed here almost. And just make sure you're clear. Like, take a second, count around the clock, make sure you have your numbers up right, because it is up there for a decent amount of time. And we're just trying to coordinate which one's which here. So you don't have a whole lot of, like, rush right here. If you can be faster in the other parts, you can sit here and take your sweet time on this. And the only thing you're going to do after this is just kill both of the Subjugators. So when we get ready to do callouts, we're going to shoot 10 together. And I was too fast there, so incorrect node barrier frequency changing. So then we're going to have to write them down again. So now we've got 11, 12, 2, and 6. So we write them down, but you get a little bit more in sync with your partner. So now it's like 3, 4, 8, and 10. And then, so if you write down the 3, I mean, you could put it in text chat and like just do a first set, see which one's the same, second set, see which one's the same, third set, see which one's the same. And then if you can just compare them, then you'll be able to probably coordinate it pretty well. But we would just basically go through and let it flash and be like, all right, first set, which one's the same? All right, so we wrote down here that it might have been 6. And then, trying to remember what the last one was, yeah. 4, 5, 8, and 10. It was 10 on this one. And then it would flash away, come back, Next one, we both had 3, so we make a note of that. And then, when we get all the way to the next one, we both had 11. So we both had 11 here. So I was like, are you ready? So we're going to shoot. So we're going to shoot 10 together. Barrier strength diminished. You got to add, so be careful. When you start shooting them and the barrier strength is greatly diminished. The last one was going to be 11. So know that the Grim comes stronger when you start to break the shields. And then once you get all 3, kill everything, kill the Grim, kill the 2 Subjugators. And then you've got kind of a fun little piece of this in the end. So we're just going to go through DPS right now, finish this up. You can work together and nuke one of them. Probably more efficient to focus your DPS as opposed to split, probably like we did. I was just trying to find one of them that I could dump my super into and hopefully put some work in. So between you and your buddies, try and kill all the enemies. Try and make sure you kill the Subjugators as quickly as possible. Dump everything. Supers, heavy ammo, all of it now is the time. So I was trying to do what I could between my Transcendence grenades, trying to get my kills with, you know, melees and grenades. My bouncing melee was actually really nice. Really helps me get some more Transcendence energy up pretty frequently. A little attendance and... yeah, the small Scion, Strand, and Stasis guys, man, they are annoying. So I think that one's taken out at that point. And then now we're looking at Strand up here, which I basically walked into. So I wanted like a little more verticality here, and he's just on me, so I'm pretty sure I died. Yep. So with the death, but you know, Gunpowder Gamble killing a few of them. See, we still have 10 minutes left. So if you take a little while on the puzzle, don't rush it. Make sure you're fully ready. No reason to go overboard. And as we work through this, it's not too bad. My spawn point was a little farther back than I expected, honestly. It was like at the start of the room. Gave me a different perspective, though. If I wanted to go for some snipe shots, I had the best cover spot possible up here to go for these shots. So this worked really, really well. So the Stasis one that I thought was dead was not, so that's my bad. And then that Subjugator up there was still running around. So I thought he was actually dead, but just slivers remained. So that was my fault to think he was done. Come up here for the res if I can. Or not, you know. Gonna die. Almost died. So much going on right there. Yep, finally died. So we're getting close. I think when you take one down, ogres must show up because we were shooting everything pretty much as fast as we could. So that was kind of the tough spot of the fact that when you see, oh, there's more ogres up there. I didn't know they were up there because they weren't up there for a long time. So as you kill certain things, as you get through different phases, as you get closer to progressing each of these sections or puzzles or things, just know more stuff is going to want to take you out. So just be aware it's going to get more and more difficult the closer you get to the end. That is why the extra time is really nice to have. But again, it's not one of those things that's like required to speedrun it. But if you get comfortable on a couple runs, your third run is going to be much more comfortable. And I think that's going to help you have plenty of time here in the boss room to take the time you need, not quite stress over the puzzles. Not too bad. The ogres just really got to go. Just no-scope the... This is fun. Yep. It's chaotic because there are so many enemies in here. It just gets to be a bit nuts. I really wanted to take him out with like a sniper shot, but I was too far away. Husks have become an enemy I expected to not possibly like, but got a decent amount of shots in, but I couldn't get the finisher right there, so he's really close. There we go. Alright, so once it's here, just make sure you check. All enemies should die once both of those die, because there were a few floating around, and then you're good. And at this point, it was, yeah, like 41 minutes on like the recording at that point. So it is long. Make sure you stand on your plate. And then you get an interesting little choice here. So you have the option to either choose... It's kind of like Prisoner's Dilemma, if you've ever heard of that. If you both pick to share or escape, then you're good. Or if one person chooses to steal, it's not going to be so good. You can also both choose peace. So it depends on how you want to play. If you want to do a little quick PvP match with your buddy, well, you've got a pretty beefy overshield. We did the battle the first time, but we chose peace. It's still going to kill you anyway, so an offering of peace is made. Unfortunately, it still does kill you, which is you know, you'll get slightly different dialogue, I think, which is kind of fun. But either way, you'll respawn and then you'll come back out and you'll be able to go get your class item. Now, if you get comfortable, this is a way to guaranteed farm it. So if you don't want to do overthrow and you've got a buddy who you can run this with every so often, run it a couple times a week and you'll get some drops. So this was my second one. That was his second one. And once you do this one time per character, you're going to be able to go farm it in the overthrow encounter chests. It has a chance that the class items can drop from the chests at any point. But if you want a guaranteed farm, you can come in here. It's really your call. But, you know, doing overthrow is going to net you a lot more chests than one mission run that's going to take you like, you know, 45 minutes to run, basically, get a team together, stuff like that. So if you're by yourself, it's nice to be able to farm out in the wild once you've done it once. If you got people to play with, you could run this, you know, probably get it consistently. If you were really fast, I would bet it you could probably be officially down to about 30 minutes guaranteed. It's not an easy thing to farm. It definitely takes a good amount of work. It's not like farming a 2-hour dungeon or anything, but it is definitely going to take some time to farm. But you can get some fun drops in here. I'm going to have to test these out, but let's get back to Orbit and we'll wrap this up. So that is the full run through the mission. I'll try and put some footage on the screen where there were different perspectives where it was important to see it. But that's the big thing, is review the vow of the disciple symbols. There's quite a few of them. Make sure you and your teammate know what they are, because you're going to need to know them throughout the entire fight. Whether you're light or dark, just remember, if you're light aligned, you're going to be killing the Centurions. So that's going to be bottom floor, top floor, and then the Centurions are going to be by the wall, not by the big taken bubble. If you're darkness aligned, you're going to be on the top floor killing the knights. And then the second room, you're going to be on the lower floor. And the third room, you're going to be killing the knights again by the taken big orb at the cave entrance. And then as you work through the platforming section, sorry, I'm blanking, having something to be able to shoot a couple of those snipers at range, kill a few of the Grims while you're crouched down. You don't really have a good way to defend yourself. Stick with your teammate, try and go through there, and then when you have to cross paths back and forth, just coordinate, but you're always kind of going up as you go through there. But no, once you get to that certain point, there are a lot of enemies by the doorway. So something ranged like a sniper, a linear, a machine gun, a pulse rifle, something that's going to do a lot better than a hand cannon when you're trying to kill those enemies up on the platforming section, that final door. They're all pretty far away. And between the ogres and the snipers, you're going to want something to put in some work. And then when you work through the actual combat sections, it's just trying to coordinate, if you can, the damage on the Tormentors when you have to face the Tormentors. When you're working for your callouts on the first key lock, if you want to use the picture, I will try and probably post it on Twitter or something. It's really up to you guys where you might want to see that one. And then, again, when you get to the final like puzzle with all the little connected nodes, it's just the clock. So use 12 through 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that's going to be pretty universal, something that everybody should know. Other than that, if you got the vow symbols, you coordinate together. I didn't get it the first time or second time, but when we actually got to the point where we could finish through it pretty quickly, then you'll have plenty of time at the boss. If you found this guide beneficial, please drop a like below. I know the mission is long, but hopefully this full walkthrough gave a good explanation and time for you to kind of process stuff in some of those times where we messed a few things up. And if you like what I'm doing here, hit that subscribe button and the alert bell. It's a nice free way to support the channel. And if you like my guides, if you have a comment about anything, please feel free to put it below if there's better efficiencies, loadouts or something, or if you just want to say hello. And you can always find me over on Twitch or Twitter as well. Thank you all for checking this one out. Hopefully you found it beneficial, and I will see you all very soon. But good luck getting your exotic class items, and then to all of us, good luck on farming more of them.